Hey, I'm Brian Van, sportbiketrackyear.com, and today we're going to do a product/ride review in the all-new 6D ATS-1R full-face helmet. The 6D ATS-1R Rogue helmet that I have here in front of me retails for $745. This helmet employs some of the most cutting-edge impact management technology you're going to find in the helmet industry. They have done extensive impact testing on their helmets and compared it to the competition that's out there. This stuff is in a class all its own, and that's what really draws me or any other rider to this. You know, we all seek out that highest level of protection, like the airbag vest, the palm sliders on the gloves. All those things can really help to manage a crash for a rider and reduce the injury. And that's something that's important to each and every one of us. It's also really important. This is what my experience has taught me, because I've had the opportunity to ride in so many different things. An unbelievable amount of helmets, race suits, gloves, boots, back protectors, chest protectors. And over the years, what I've learned is that it doesn't matter how protective it is. If it is distracting, if it limits your mobility on the motorcycle, it actually takes safety backwards. Distraction, removing focus, increases the potential for having a crash. It's really that simple. So when I look at a product like this and I take it out and I ride in it to evaluate, I want it to be almost invisible, right? Like even with the Alpine Stars Tech Air Race Vest, my expectations of it are that it fits and works in such a way until it deploys that you don't even notice that it's there, because if it's too tight and it's causing arm pump, or if it's too restrictive and you can't move around properly on the bike, it actually creates more of a dangerous scenario than it does to move forward your personal protection. This is the second time I've ridden in one of the 6D helmets. The previous version, I believe, was just the ATS-1. I rode in that at some point last year. I think it was last year. And the performance of the helmet was such that I personally decided we weren't going to offer them here. The reason behind that was that the price is significant. We're asking you to spend $700+ on a helmet. That represents a significant investment of money. It takes time and effort to get that, right? So it's important to me that the products perform on such a level that when you get it, you take it out of the box, you make sure it fits, and you take it for a ride, you're happy with the product you have. It's also important to note that when I'm doing this, I'm benchmarking this against a whole load of other helmets that I currently am riding in right now. So I'm not just basing this off of the one HJC helmet I've had or the one Shoei helmet I've had. This is going to go up against all of the best of the best. With that said, I rode in this helmet last weekend at Barber. Max and I were down there for the Moto America finale, and we stayed and rode with our friends from Sportbike Track Time on the Monday after. This helmet was in the bag, and I wanted to love it, right? I like the way it fits. Let's start off and talk about the shape and the overall sizing. I measure 58 centimeters on the money, intermediate oval head shape. Chose the size medium per the size chart. I wore it in the office long enough to know that the helmet fit me properly before we left for Barber with it. It feels good. It fits good, right? Field of vision is good. The weight, 3.35 pounds on our digital shipping scale. That was good. It's got plenty of ventilation on the helmet. We'll cover that here in a second. But once again, the performance of the helmet was such that we're not going to add it to our catalog here. And there's a couple of reasons for it. Reason number one is, as soon as I brought the bike up to speed, it had a lot of lift again, just like the previous one did. It was really significant. I rode in it for the whole session, and honestly, I just simply found it distracting. That lift for me was a real issue. At lower speeds, it really wasn't a big deal, but once you start to get up to that 100 plus, and I think the highest speed I was hitting there was like 140-ish or something at Barber, right? It doesn't have a giant straightaway. It was some pretty significant lift, enough that it was distracting me while riding, so I didn't really want to ride in it much more than the full session that I used. Before I went down to Barber to ride in this helmet, I had snapped a picture of it and put a little post, I think on Facebook, maybe Instagram, whatever, just letting people know, hey, we got this new helmet. I'm going to take it out and do a little ride review in it. So one of the STT coaches for the Southern Division knew I was going to be down there with it. And he had a couple. He actually bought 2 of the previous model of this that he had purchased. And he came over and asked me, hey, did you ride in it yet? And what did you think of it? And I told Dan, just like the previous version, it suffers from that lift condition. And that's when he shared with me that he had purchased 2 of those without riding in them, right? Or really going out there and searching out for reviews. And that he had found that those both lifted pretty good. And for that reason, he was no longer riding in either one of those helmets, but he was curious to know where the new version stacked up. To benchmark, I went to one of the helmets that, especially for aerodynamics, when it comes down to helmet aerodynamics, noise, those kind of things, this is the one I'm going to compare almost everything to. This Shark Race R Pro. This thing cuts through the wind like none other. I think it's the class leading helmet. And this is, it's a tight group for sure. When you look at the X14, the Corsair X, the Bell Race Star, the AGV, the Pista, the Corsa R, those helmets perform really, really well in the wind, but still this one's the quietest, and the aerodynamics of it are so strong. So after switching from this to this one, this one performed just flawlessly as it always had. And it really highlighted, the amount of lift that I had with this helmet. By nature, the way this helmet's designed, you've got your little rubber bumpers in there, kind of hourglass shaped, and you have your layers of EPS. There's a little additional thickness with this, and that's kind of the trade-off with it too. You get a higher level of energy management, a higher level of, rotational energy management, which is great. Some riders are sensitive to the overall external shape, so I'm just going to set these kind of next to each other so Caleb can get a good close-up. I would say this is pretty good. This isn't overly large in my opinion. It doesn't give you that, hey, I've got a Rick Moranis Spaceballs helmet on my head or anything, right? And this Shark is pretty small. So I think they did a pretty darn good job of that when you consider all the stuff that's in there. And if you want some closer visuals of what I'm talking about right now, the best place to get that is to go to the 6D website, and they've got a lot of great imagery, and they're very descriptive with it there. And you can see more of what I'm talking about. Here's another area that I want to show you. This helmet ships with a couple of value adds, which I do appreciate. It includes a pinlock insert, which I have on this dark smoke shield. It includes a dark smoke shield, a clear shield, and they have their own little premium helmet garage that it ships with. So you have some nice value adds there that make it a more complete package. I have the pinlock insert on the dark smoke shield right now. And what I noticed the minute I installed that is that now the shield itself, if I just pull it down, all I did was just push right there. And that should bring, with any helmet design, that tab is designed to open and close the shield. And you can clearly see you've got this gap right here. And what's happening is that is your pinlock insert coming into contact with the gasket. I can get it to close, but and you can kind of hear it jump over at that point. Now I've got to put some pressure on it, the shield itself, using both hands to get it to jump over the gasket. And then when you go to open it, you can see that gets a little tougher there. What's that going to do over the long haul? Say if you do live in an area where you need to have that pinlock insert to manage the fog that could be produced on the helmet screen, rubbing on the gasket or the helmet, what's that going to do over the long haul? That's hard to say, but I thought this was something that really needed to be highlighted. I'll go ahead and swap out the shield just so I can, give you an idea of what it looked like with the clear one. You can see that the operation then is good. The shield ratchet system on this, I think, is it's good. There's some out there that I found that are better, easier to use. This one is, I would just say, just kind of my feelings on it would just be neutral. It does what it needs to do. And the shield swap's not overly difficult. As you can see, now I was able to close the shield just by using the ridge on the left side of the shield. So there is a definite difference there. Still, it does close just a little bit nicer if you give it just a little right up here, just to make sure you're up against that gasket. So I think that could use just a little bit of refinement there too. Moving forward, and I don't want this to just turn into a, just a beat up on 60 helmet session. It's not that. I think this is it's a really cool product. I think they're getting closer for sure. And it's difficult to deliver all that energy management and protection in a package that offers performance that's going to be on par with a Shoei X14 or a Shark Race R Pro and a Ride Corsair X, because it's just that different. And part of me almost wonders if perhaps the layers that you have in there that are separated by those hourglass kind of shaped little rubber bumpers, and once again refer to their site, if maybe that gap you have in there between the liners when the air flows in through the vents, if that has some type of effect on lift or something. I'm not an engineer. I've never operated a wind tunnel or anything. I just know that when I get on the bike and I get up to speed with this one, I experience a lot of lift, even though it fits right. And with the other helmets that I spoke about, I'm not experiencing that same lift. Other important points to note: this uses a full carbon fiber shell, so that's absolute premium. Intake vents. You've got one up here on the top, right here in the crown. The action on those is really nice, very smooth. You have an intake vent here in the chin bar. Also nice, smooth action. Exhaust vents you're going to find back here in the diffuser area. So there is plenty of airflow with this helmet. The airflow of it, I thought, was excellent. Shield lock right here. Rotate that backwards. That's going to lock the shield for you. Little shield crack there too if you push all the way down. Ships complete with a chin curtain. That is removable. If you want to ride without that, you can pull that out, no problem. The interior on this is comfortable. Emergency release cheek pads. It includes a DOT ECE certification. See that right here on the back. 3.35 pounds, intermediate oval shape. Give you kind of a look here at what it takes to pull the chin curtain. Emergency release cheek pads. And what they've done here is the cheek pads and this little portion here at the back of the neck roll are Velcro together, and they kind of come out together. Top pad of the helmet, we have two snaps back here. And then up here in the front, you've got like a little channel. The leading edge of the top pad kind of dips into. Show you that right here. These little indentations line up with clips here at the brow of the helmet. Quality of the interior is good. Fabrics feel nice. Inside the helmet, and I'm going to try and do the best I can here to highlight, what really separates this from the competition, that different technology. Instead of just having a standard EPS technology, you've got a blend here. It is not super easy to point out. Caleb, if you can try and just tell me when to rotate it so you can see the little red edge of those bumpers. So hopefully that helps highlight what I was talking about. You've got a pretty sizable gap here, and you can see look at how that's able to move. So from a rotational perspective, you have a fall in this helmet, and there is just the opportunity for the helmet exterior shell to move, independent of what your head's doing here inside, and that can have some real protective benefits to it. That does increase the thickness of the material here for sure, right? In order to get all that into one package, it just simply requires a little more room. And that's why you saw the external footprint of this helmet is a little bit bigger than that Shark Race R Pro or other helmets that would be in this same exact category. If you want to run communicators, there are little cutouts for speakers here. They're not huge. They are right here. Beyond that, the rest of the helmet is what you would expect. Double D-ring retention system. Build quality, you can see from the inside looking out too. The build quality of the helmet itself is really good. So in closing, still at this point, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of sit on the sideline. I know they have a moto helmet too, but we don't really do off-road stuff here. And I think the moto helmets are really successful. Motocross, you're not doing 100 miles an hour, right? And, you already have the visor peak and everything. Those helmets never really need to be super aerodynamic for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's the exterior shape of the helmet or if it's, perhaps that multi-layer system inside. And once again, I'm not an engineer. All I can tell you is that, with both models of this helmet, when I got on my motorcycle and rode it, and once I really got up to speed, in a fast section of the racetrack, I just noticed a lot of lift. And for me, trying to sell this at $745 and tell you that it's going to perform as good as the others that I've noted off, I just really can't do that because it just simply didn't do that for me. Now, with that said, there are riders out there that have different desires and different needs. If you're operating the motorcycle on public roads and you're actually following the speed limit like you probably should be if you don't want to get a ticket, the helmet's going to perform quite well for you. I noticed the problem, once we're in that triple digit-ish area, okay? Not really at the slower speeds. And the protection of this is on a different level. They have proof of that. It's all over their website. They have plenty of marketing material that shows said proof. And personally, I would trust that proof. And the only other negative would be if you're going to run with that pinlock insert, it's making contact. That just is what it is. Is that a big deal? Is that a little deal? I mean, that's really, once again, that's up to the individual that's riding in the helmet and investing $745 in it. There you have it. Those are my thoughts. If you have any comments, questions, just leave them in the comments section of this video. I answer all that stuff myself. I'm Brian Van, sportbiketrackgear.com.